Today's guest is Louise Harris. She's an author, a journalist, editor, and owner of Last Research and Editing, a business she has successfully run for more than 30 years. A graduate of the University of Maryland's College of Journalism, Louise has built a career helping writers and businesses communicate clearly through editing, research, blogging, SEO content, newsletter, manuscript, and more. She's also the author of the historical fiction novels The 1776 Scroll and The 1776 Inn, an award-winning poet and active leader in several professional writing organizations, whether she's mentoring writers, crafting stories, or advocating for the environment. Louise brings decades of experience and a genuine passion for the written word. Louise, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Okay, so I have some questions here for you, and I would like us to get into them.
Okay.
So, you have had a remarkable career in journalism, editing, and writing. Tell us what first inspired your love of words.
Well, I always knew that I wanted to be a writer from the time I was young. I published my first poem at age 12, and I got paid for it. So I became a published author at age 12. My grandmother is probably the person who influenced me on my fiction. She loved reading romance novels on the beach, and when she got to an exciting part, she would start shaking her leg. But she was always happy, and I always wanted to do something that made people happy with my writing. So that's why I did my fiction. And then I went into journalism because I also wanted to do something that would benefit the world or my community, and telling people the information they need to know is how I can benefit my community. And I still do that today, even though I'm not writing for a television, newspaper, or online publication. I'm still telling people the information that they need to know. I'm just doing it in a different way. I'm doing it in blogs and press releases and web content and things like that.
All right, thank you so much, Louise. So, moving on, what led you to start Last Research and Editing, and how has the business evolved over the past 30 years?
When I started the business in 1992, I almost said 32. I'm not that old. Anyway, in 1992, it was before the internet really took off. So you had to actually look on a job board for a job. And at the time, I was unemployed. So I was looking at the Maryland job board, and there was an ad for an assistant editor. I applied, and she couldn't hire me full time. She could hire me as a freelance editor. So that's how I started my business. And then for a while, I was still working in a full-time job, but I was doing my business at night and on the side, and until we moved to Arizona. Then we were moving across country, and I had to have my business be the main income because we were moving across the country, and I had to keep working while we were moving. So that's when I started doing my business full time. And then when my kids were in school and I was getting calls from the school all the time, then I realized I had to be home when the kids needed to be home. So that's why I did my business full time. And then I was still working part time as a reporter, editor in the industry. So that's how I started my business. Now, how it evolved, well, as technology evolved, then journalists were asked to do different things. And I had to learn different skill sets to become a better editor. One of them was PageMaker, which is now InDesign. But I had to learn how to do that so I could publish newsletters for my clients. I also had to learn how to write a blog and how to make sure it had the content that would be picked up for search engines. So I had to learn that. And then as a full-time editor, I also was receiving press releases, but I was also writing them for clients. So I had the experience of seeing them as they came in from other people and writing them for my clients. So I had to learn how to be effective in creating a press release that the media would actually picked up. So, and then I also transitioned from print media to online media. So those are how my company has evolved. And now I am incorporating artificial intelligence somewhat into my business, but that's the new frontier, and that's what I have to learn now if I want to stay relevant.
Okay, so thank you so much for that wonderful answer. So, what sets your editing and research approach apart from others in the industry?
I don't rely on doing it on the computer. I always print out the books that I edit for clients. I always print out the blogs, and then I read them on paper because you tend to catch more from the paper than you do from the computer screen. And it takes a little bit longer for me to do that, but it's more thorough, and I have a bigger attention to detail. The other thing is that I'm honest with my clients and potential clients. So if I don't think I'm a good fit for them, I will tell them that they need to find a better fit, that I'm not the right person. I'm also, I'll also tell them where I think their book needs to be fleshed out, or their blog writing needs to be fleshed out. And I will give my opinions, and that is what a lot of my clients say they like about me, is that I don't pretend. I give them to it honestly and tell them what I think.
Okay, so tell us about your novels, the 1776 Crow, and
Yeah, well, it's the title has changed. It's now 1776 Scroll of Secrets. I wrote that actually 20 years ago, 2006. And we were in Arizona, and all of our family, both my husband's family and my family, were back east. I'm from the Philadelphia area. My husband is from the Washington, D.C. area. So we were in Arizona, and we had no family really. And I had 3 young kids. So I was feeling lonely, and I just started writing, and the character was absorbing my loneliness. So as the kids would come home from school and watch TV, I would sit on the couch and I would be writing my novel. And then I realized I had a finished manuscript, and I just went online to find a publisher, and I submitted it to 2, and the second one accepted it. And then after my contract with that publisher ran out, I then decided to publish it myself so I could get more of the royalties. And that's why the name changed, because I didn't want to have to worry about whether I had the rights to the name or not. So, and then the second one, 1776 Inn, which is now 1776 Bed and Breakfast, and it was the same reason I had a publisher and I had to wait till the contract ended. But I actually started that one first. That was the one that when we were first married, before we had the children, that I was writing periodically, and I would put it in a drawer and not look at it. And then I would get to chapter 9 or 10 and it wasn't working. I would get stuck and the characters just didn't work. So when I wrote Scroll, I was inspired to finish that one. So that's why that one was my second. And then I had two after that in 1776 Musket, 1776 Soldier, and I'm currently working on 1776 Retreat, which should be out this year.
Okay, thank you so much, Louise. So, as both an editor and an author, what's the biggest mistake that you see new writers making?
The biggest mistake I see, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, is flow. They do not know how to get from point A to point B. That a lot of times the author will be all over the place, and as an editor, I have to bring them in so that they're focused and that it flows the way it should. A book is supposed to flow like a river, whether it's fiction or nonfiction. It's still supposed to flow like a river. And often they have a lot of ideas, but they're jumbled and they're not flowing right. So then I have to fix that. So that's the biggest mistake I get all the time. The second is that once their book is nearing the end, they don't know how to market it. And they make a lot of mistakes thinking that, oh, well, you're doing the work, so you'll market it, or the publisher is going to market it for me. I don't have to market it, which isn't the truth. You, as the author, always have to market your book. Even if you are at Random House or Simon Schuster, you still have to do the marketing yourself. So.
Okay, thank you so much. So, you're also passionate about the environment. Why is that an issue that's important to you?
There's a few reasons. The first one is I actually took environmental science in high school, and there's a whole big story about how when I was in high school, my guidance counselor wanted me to take physics because I was smart, and she figured that just because I was smart, I should have physics, not environmental science. But my dad actually convinced her that I could get environmental science. So so even since high school, I was interested in the environment. Then when we were first married, I volunteered to do stream team in my local county. And what that did was test the water quality in the streams in the parks and stuff around my house. And they have volunteers do that. And I just thought it was fun. And I could get in the water and test the water and see if it was in good quality. And then I started working for environmental newsletters, and then I learned even more about the environment. The person who hired me as an assistant editor, her newsletter was State Recycling Laws Update. So I had to learn all of the recycling laws and all about solid waste to write her newsletter. And then I worked for business publishers, which had a bunch of environmental newsletters. And I did solid waste, I did hazardous waste, I did nuclear waste, I did clean water, I did sludge, I did wastewater. And so I really got to learn all about the environment and the myths. And so that is really what kept my interest in the environment. But I'm also passionate about it because there's a lot of misinformation out there about the environment. And I like to tell people that they have incorrect information. Like solar is the greatest, the renewable energy. Solar is the greatest. that is incorrect, because the trade-off with solar is that the panels themselves cost a lot of money to make just one, and they are, once their end of life is over, they go into landfills. And then solar is also it doesn't work as well on cloudy days or rainy days, and it's expensive. And the manufacturers that are making solar panels tend to be using fossil fuels to be making the solar panels. So it's not, there's a trade-off. And pretty much on anything that you want to do to save the environment, there's a trade-off. Hydropower, the fish can't get up to spawn. And they're working on doing hydropower from oceans, but they can't figure out how to get it from California to Arizona, because it's too far inland, and then it's too costly to distribute it. But they're working on it. There's a lot of studies trying to use ocean power, because it's actually stronger. Ocean power and waves are actually stronger than if you use river power, which right now hydropower is done on rivers, but oceans are actually stronger, and they could have a more energy with less work involved. Anyway, so those are the reasons that I am passionate about the environment. Anything we can do to improve the environment is my goal.
Okay, thank you so much, Louise. So, outside of writing and editing, what hobbies or interests helps to keep you creative?
I don't have many. Okay, so my husband bought me a bike for Christmas, so I ride my bike periodically. I don't do it. I live in Florida, so it's hot right now, so riding my bike in the heat, I don't want to do. I also read a lot. That gives me inspiration by reading other authors. My favorite, though, is going to the beach and sitting on the beach and looking at the ocean, but I also go in the water. And the beach where I go is not as crowded, so you see baby conchs, and you see sometimes there's baby seagulls there too, and I find that really interesting. And then I help out at my church. That's probably all the hobbies I have.
All right, so here is my final question for you.
Okay.
Where can listeners find your books, connect with you, or learn more about your editing service?
Okay, so to get my books, they're all on Amazon, amazon.com/author/Louise Harris. If they're interested in editing or marketing or writing, they can visit my website, lastresearchandediting.com. They can also call me. I always answer my phone. That's another thing that sets me apart from other editors. And I have actually gotten clients because I've answered my phone. And it's 480-370-3945. They can check me out. I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Alignable, although I don't do that one as much. And I have a Google profile, so they can find me online.
All right, thank you so much. This has been a very exciting episode. Thank you for sharing your incredible journey as a journalist, editor, author, and entrepreneur. Your passion for helping others tell their stories and your decades of experience in the writing world have made this a fascinating conversation. We wish you continued success with your books and your business and everything that's still to come. Thanks again for joining us today on this very wonderful episode.
Thank you. I enjoyed it. You have a good day.
And thank you to all my listeners for tuning in today. You guys are the real every group.